So, what is the deadliest knife on the table? Which one is more lethal? Which one is more likely to end in a very difficult injury or even worse? Guys, this is Fernando, as always, doing another video for the Modern Survivalist and talking about blades, these tools that are the quintessential item for survival and preparedness. The one tool every survivalist should have. Man's most loyal friend besides the dog, your knife, right? Well, if you want to learn about all of this stuff, as always, I recommend getting yourself to survival skills and surviving the economic collapse. Especially for this sort of stuff, I cover quite a bit on the uses of these tools, weapons, and so on. You know, everything from knives, guns, firearms, and everything in between, even improvised things. And it is important to understand that, yes, in general, when we talk about survival knives, the idea is usually revolving around what? What is it? Let me know in the comments. What is it? Bushcrafting? Yes. Preparing food? Okay, could be. It's going to be using your survival knife for other things such as chopping, using it as a pry bar for breaking stuff. You're going to be chopping with the thing, digging, breaking. Sure, those are all things that a survival knife, at least the way I conceive it, should be capable of doing. But there is, of course, that other thing, which is, yes, if it comes down to it, it should be capable of performing duties as a self-defense weapon, right? And I was just watching the great lady from BLM, Sydney, whatever the hell her name was. Well, Sydney from BLM, she got a knock on her door by the police. It was, "Hi, this is Officer Gutierrez," or whatever crap that name, the guy was, his name was. I mean, all this dude did, all this cop did was knock on the damn door. "Hi, this is Officer Smith," whatever. And she took one look at him, closed the door. Mumbled something like a crazy person, closed the door. The guy was like, "What? Okay." When she opened again, she came out swinging with a big knife right at his face. And it was gruesome. Now, I'll try doing a video about reacting to it and some of the very important lessons to be learned from that incident. And man, he was very lucky. He was super lucky that this crazy BLM lady was not exactly the fastest or most fit person there is, because if not, he would not be around anymore. He still got a brutal cut on the face. It was very bad. The thing is, it may end up being that these things have to be used to defend your life. Which one is better? Which one is gonna perform best? Which one is the deadliest, the most dangerous knife? Well, it's not always the same thing. Sure, this is a massive knife, and this is quite heavy. It's gonna chop. It has a narrow tip, a nice narrow tip. The Glock knife is basically what every dagger has been for hundreds of years now. It's a long, pointy blade. Oh, the Call of Duty knife, the M9 bayonet. This is a super combat knife, right? Well, sure, okay, let's go with that. But you know what? Deadliest knife, and I've been doing this for a long time. Trust me when I tell you that when you see the articles, when you see the forensics photos, you always see the same damn thing. There's a little variation here and there. Every once in a while you see, oh, that is, wow, fucking Benchmade there. Yeah. Oh, cool. Cold steel. Well, that's nice. 90% of the time, this motherfucker right here. This is what people use to go at one another. Because it's convenient, because it's usually going to be there. It's going to be in the kitchen drawer. People pick up these things and go at it. And that's how you see many times these broken. So you see a broken blade. There was one gruesome incident in which that guy picked like 3 different knives going at his wife and broke them all. Because they're not designed to use that way, and bending it at a certain point, it will snap and so on. Some are more durable than others, but yeah, it's for cutting a little piece of meat in a plate, not for using it as a combat tool. But this is what gets used the most. It gets used the most because it's what's more likely to be available when people think about that. It's also the case that these things are quite pointy, and that makes them often more dangerous than any of these things. I mean, sure, it could happen with anything, but these things, dude, this paring knife, as pointy as it is, a fillet knife, those things are super dangerous. The more pointy the knife is, the more dangerous the knife is, as in prone to accidents, things that you were not even thinking of doing. I was reading, I'm doing this video because I was reading about this guy in UK. He was trying to separate a couple burgers, frozen burgers, you know, the shitty ones that you get from the grocery store, a box of frozen burgers, well, 2 in each bag. Well, those 2, he wanted to separate them. And of course, they were stuck together. So this guy had and I've done this before. I bought those shitty burgers myself. And I would like go, try not to cut myself. I'm not trying to lever a little bit, and you separate them. Or later on, you realize just leave it there on the grill, and you just separate once it heats up a little bit. But this guy was doing this with those 2 burgers. Actually, he was doing this and trying to split those 2 burgers apart. And he did. Guess what was in the way when he split those 2 burgers? Yes, indeed. He got the knife to go through those 2 burgers and straight into his own gut, into his own stomach. And yeah, he died. Dude just died out of stabbing himself while splitting 2 burgers. Shit like that happens. And it happens often with the thing that's most available. And it so happens to be that the thing that's most likely to be available, it's damn pointy. And it makes it super dangerous. Something like this is extremely dangerous for an accident like that. There is one that I read about it. And I'll never forget that one, because this is a guy, he was on a fishing trip or in a cabin with a family, and he had gone fishing with his son. And they were preparing food. Thus, preparing the food they had just fished. And he was using the fillet knife, right? The filleting knife. You know the one I'm talking about? The one that is long and super pointy? Well, they were preparing food in the kitchen. All of a sudden, he turns around. He did not see his son, and keeping the knife like that, turned around with the tip of that fillet knife straight into the chest, deep enough to hit the heart. The kid died. One little tiny hole in the chest is all that it took. God damn it. That has to be fucking hell. To accidentally stab your own son in the heart must be a damn nightmare. But it does happen. That happens. Stabbing yourself in the stomach when separating burgers happen. Cutting yourself happens all the time. So the lesson here is not everything is what it seems. Sometimes the most innocent looking knife, well, it's not all that innocent, but careful with these things. They're super dangerous. You have to be careful. Well, I have my 6-year-old now with his own little Victorinox knife. You have, just like with guns, the rules that you teach your kids and you teach people when handling firearms, keeping always treating the gun as if it's loaded, because it's going to be, always having the finger off the trigger guard, never pointing at anything you're not willing to destroy. The same goes with these things. You always cut away from the body. You always push away from the body. Oh, I'm just trying to open a nut. Okay, do it towards that direction, not your hand, not here, not to your leg, right? You stab yourself in a fucking femoral artery and you bleed to death, dude. There are sometimes techniques that, yes, there are valid techniques, like you draw cutting, right? Yes, I'm using a big ass knife in the middle of the Amazon jungle, and I'm stripping the bark of a tree to build a canoe or whatnot. Doesn't matter. You're doing this, still be extreme. Just don't do it. Push the other way. Oh, but the technique, yeah, I get it. But you always have to be extremely careful, because at any moment, it doesn't just slide as it's intended. It just catches a little bit of force and fucking you stab your own leg with this thing, you bleed to death. People cut themselves all the time. Axes, super common accident with axes in winter season, or when people are preparing wood for the winter. You have to be extremely careful, and that involves knives. I know that sometimes it's presented as if it's still an inanimate object, but when you use it, if you don't have these precautions, they can be extremely dangerous. We're not meant to go against steel. It is gonna go deep into the body with an arrow tip, and that may be one of the things you don't even live to regret anymore. So be very careful with knives, and trust me, that's the most dangerous knife in your house, not these ones. See you later, guys. Take care.